Hello, everyone. This is Barb at Mystic Door Tarot. The reading today is for Friday, October 18th, 2019. Thank you for joining me today, and if you're new to my channel, welcome. And please subscribe and join us each and every day. And as some of you know, today is Feature Friday. Each Friday, I try to feature a different deck with a little of the history behind it. And today I have the Rider-Waite Tarot deck. I thought today I would honor this deck, which started it all for so many of us tarot card readers. Dr. Arthur Edward Waite, who lived among us from 1857 to 1942, was a genuine scholar of occultism, a member of the Order of the Golden Dawn, whose published works include The Key to the Tarot, first issued in England in 1910. And his quote about the tarot cards is this: "The true tarot is symbolism. It speaks no other language and offers no other signs." The origin of tarot stretches far back. We have in 1781, tarot cards were derived from an ancient Egyptian book, the Book of Thoth. And in 1397, playing cards were mentioned in a decree by the King of France against various forms of gambling. So playing cards emerged in Europe in the latter half of the 14th century, most likely in Italy, as a complete 78 card deck, combining the 56 cards known as the Minor Arcana with the 22 emblematic cards known as the Major Arcana. In the 15th century, the tarot pack called the Tarot of the Marseille was very popular. But recently, under the supervision of Waite, a unique 78 card tarot pack known as the Rider deck was drawn by Miss Pamela Coleman Smith, an American girl who was a fellow member of the Order of the Golden Dawn. Now, the Golden Dawn is a whole other topic that can be explored and talked about, but not today. Now, Waite also believed that the Fool card here, being unnumbered and representing 0, should not be placed between cards 20 and 21 here, and that it was more natural to put it in front of the Magician. And Waite talks about the personal effect that tarot cards have upon the individual that uses them in this book, The Key to the Tarot. And so we have the tarot deck today known as the Rider-Waite or Universal Waite. And this was the book that I got with the deck, and that's the book that I was talking about that was in 1910. It's not exactly an easy read, but there is a lot of information in this book. And one of the things I liked was the reference of the cards in dealing with if you have 4 queens in a reading or 3 sixes in a reading, or that just added a whole new dimension as to reading the tarot cards in the spread for my clients. So I like that part of the book, but a lot of interesting information in here. But again, it's not exactly an easy read. Now, I did get this little tiny book with it, which you can see it's kind of pretty banged up here. I used this quite a bit. This was just very short and sweet, and I highly recommend, as everyone always says, start with the Rider-Waite deck, but I recommend that as well. Okay, and going on, just a little story about how I came into it. This was my first deck, as I let my natural instincts guide me to that section in the bookstore where all the books on occult and tarot cards rested. And the young man at the register was very knowledgeable and gave me several tips on the how-to in taking care of my deck. And I didn't think it was strange at all. Instead, I was intrigued. And so many decks later, and also taking an online course that changed my life, I have joined the huge family of tarot card readers here on YouTube, all bringing our own twist to the cards and helping as many as we can, and all for the highest good. So again, I recommend to start off with the Rider-Waite deck to get accustomed to each basic tarot card meaning. I have found that as I explore a more complicated or artistic tarot deck, and if I'm confused by a card, I can always make sense of it by referring back to the basics of the Rider-Waite. So now let's look at some of the cards that seem to bother some people when they turn up in the reading. And the first one, not my favorite card at all, the Three of Swords. And of course, just very briefly, we know, or some of you don't know, this is difficult loss. Any way that I could pull a silver lining out of this card would be that it makes room for further growth. And the Five of Cups, that is disappointment. This comes up in so many of the readings that I do for my clients, that they're just looking at things, the glass half empty. This card just, to me, is that glass half full or glass half empty. Which way are you on that issue? And you've got the three cups here spilt, but you still have something in the background here, and people just don't see it. So sometimes with loss, comes change, but then there's opportunity back here. Okay, next, the Five of Swords. This is winning at all costs. So many people will do whatever they have to get what they want, and it's at cost of other people. And that you'll just keep repeating those patterns throughout your whole life. You'll get caught in that cycle. And the Death card, which really scares people. It's really about transformation. There's a lot of reference to, you start out as the caterpillar and then you emerge as this beautiful butterfly, and you've gone through all that time and difficulty, and you just emerge into this glorious, beautiful butterfly. So it's really all about a journey of transformation. And yeah, it could be a little bit difficult, but it doesn't necessarily mean death of someone. It's the death of you the old way. Now, this is almost right up there with the Three of Swords for the least favorite card of mine. I'm a big one about deception. I do not like deception in any way, shape, or form for any reason. Even when you're trying to surprise somebody with something nice, I just don't care for that. So, this is about plagiarism and feeling guilty and doing tricks and stealing. And it's just, very dishonest and doing things behind people's back and gossiping and all those negative energy emotions. So to me, this is one of the most negative energy, low vibrational cards that could come up for you in a reading. And of course, it might not be you, but it would be the energy around you. And that's been coming up in a lot of the readings lately. So there's always where you have to protect yourself from this energy. It's just out there, especially on social media. It's really out there. So my least favorite card. Now the Ten of Swords here, at first glance, especially when you first get your very first deck and you see this, you're like, holy cow, what is this card about? And yes, it's at the end, but it could be the end of a cycle, or let's say you're choosing to leave your job. It's the end of the job, and it's the worst it can get. So to me, it's actually pretty positive. And then you've got the sun coming up, so things are definitely going to get better from where this card is. So if you get this in a reading, it just means, okay, you're at the end of this ordeal. So not so bad. Now, the Seven of Cups here, just your head's in the clouds. You know, nothing wrong with ideas and hopes and dreams. That's what this all is. Too many choices to pick from. Not a bad thing. It's just don't stay there very long in those thoughts. You can get stuck there and not making any decisions and also not living in the here and now. And the Nine of Swords, worry and anxiety. The good thing about this card is a number 9 energy, which means it's near the end. And the Tower card looks awful. People just, being thrown from the building and lightning bolts and fire and brimstone and all that. And it's just shock and collapse of how things were. So it's about shaking up your life. And the positive swing of this card could mean you could win the lottery. That's going to shake up your life. So it's not always bad. And the Eight of Swords, the victim mentality card. And a lot of times you're just too much in your head. It's all self-imposed. And the last one for the cards that we kind of don't like to see is the Devil. He's all about restriction, being addicted to things that aren't good for you, being disconnected from spirit, and again, an energy that you want to protect yourself from. That seems to be all around. Now, moving on to some of my favorites. The Magician card. Anything is possible. And of course, you see the difference in the color in these cards. All of a sudden, we've got a bright yellow glowing, very signifies happiness and energy, and he's manifesting. This one I like for the fact that everything is all right. All the cups are upright and everything, but you're still making a decision. You're being brave and you're making a decision to move on to something better. Everything might be absolutely fine in your situation, but you get that nudge where, is there something better? I want something more. And that's what that card is. And the Hangman card, I love this card. Simply the card of looking at things in a different way. And we need to do that day in and day out. When you're dealing with so many different people, you don't know what's going on in their lives and everything. So sometimes you need to kind of put yourself in their shoes and look at things differently than what you are. Not everybody thinks the same. And I love this card, the Eight of Wands. Something's coming in really fast, and it's usually pretty good news. So I love to see this in readings. And the Sun, very cheery, just high energy, happiness, joy. Who wouldn't like that card? The Ten of Pentacles, signifying wealth, happiness. This is like right up there with the Ten of Cups card. Ten of Cups is being tremendously happy and joyful within your relationships. This is financial security and being well off. So both are important. And the Hermit. I like that because you're searching within yourself. You're coming up with your own answers to your questions. But here's the light of wisdom. He's standing firm with his staff on this mountain, and he's lighting the way for us. So, meaning a lot of times, just stop, be quiet, meditate, and you can search within and get your own answers there. Okay, so that's just a small tip of the iceberg with this Rider-Waite deck. There's so much information out there. I just covered a few things. So let me cue up the reading for today, and I'll be right back. Okay, so again, this is the reading for Friday, October 18th, 2019. And a reminder that these are general daily readings. Take what resonates and disregard the rest. So first we have the Two of Swords, followed by the Ace of Pentacles, And the major arcana card, the World. And our crystal today is Cinnabar. It's an exciting crystal. Okay, so we start off with the Two of Swords. So once again, possibly having options or decisions to make about something in your life right now. Since we are featuring this deck today, let's look more closely at the cards. We see she's wearing a blindfold, which represents not seeing things clearly. That can stop us from making a decision. And we have the crescent moon back here, which symbolizes emotions and intuition. This tells us that we use our intuition when our emotions tell us to, based on our experiences. And the bench she's sitting on represents pausing and reflecting. And of course, the two swords are the activities of the mind. It's communication, rationality, and also elimination. The energy of the swords can be destructive in our way of thinking, but also cleans out the clutter. And the ocean behind her is a symbol of subconscious mind and emotions. The ocean can be stormy and difficult or calm and serene. And in this case, it's calm. The symbol of having two swords is the balance like yin and yang, light and dark, masculine and feminine, good and evil. So we can tell from this card that for some of you, you're putting off making a decision based on what you are intuitively feeling emotionally. You want things to stay nice and balanced, and you feel that you need more information on this matter before you decide anything. The matter at this time is not pressing to you, so you have some time to think more about it. Now let's move on to the Ace of Pentacles. This is a new beginning coming in with regards to business or money. And let's look more closely at this card. We have the Ace, which is number 1. This is the seed or opportunity that holds the potential for new growth. It will not fall into our laps. It's the presentation of the opportunity, and we need to see it and grab it in order to see the growth. And the hand here is the symbol of transmission, of giving and receiving. And the disembodied hand here represents divine intervention or spiritual gifts. So it's the giving of a gift. And the pentacles are often called coins and represent the element earth. And they symbolize money, the material world, security, and nature. This is a monetary gift, most likely. Now, the path here on the card represents our journey through life and our self-discovery and spiritual progression. So if we're going down our path and this gift is coming across our path. And the archway here is an opening to new paths and represents the possibility of something new. If we step through the arch, we will embark onto something new. But through the arch, we can see a mountain. Can you see that here, where the mountain's back there? So the mountain can represent challenges that will lead to growth once we overcome them. And then how steep the mountain is will determine the degree of challenge. So before we venture through the arch, we must decide if the uncertainty is worth it for us. And the red roses and white lilies represent beauty and hope for the future, and purity and innocence, and also growth. So that all seems very welcoming. And the cloud here, from which the hand is extended. Now, the color of the clouds in any of the cards is very significant. White is clear thought, like a sudden epiphany, whereas gray is confusion or emotions are getting in the way. And so this is white, So this is clear thought coming through. So all these things can tell a lot about the situation at hand. And this card is suggesting a beginning of a possible new project or a chance to improve your health, money that you can further invest in your future, a new job opportunity, or even a promotion. Now, for some of you, it can also mean to start a garden or do some improvements to your home. Time to strengthen your roots, to ground and get centered, and build a foundation for the future. And certainly, the Ace of Pentacles tells us to spend time in nature. There is always fresh inspiration all around. Okay, now moving on to the Major Arcana card, the World. Now, first, the Major Arcana cards are the major life events, the milestones of our lives. So when they show up, things are happening. And the World card represents both endings and new beginnings. Flash reading, the code word is Rider-Waite. You have learned the lessons from this current phase of life, and now it is time to move on. Now let's look more closely at this card. And the laurel here, as a wreath, represents victory. You have finished your journey. Now, the nudity on the card is a symbol of being open and receptive to messages from the spirit realm, tapping into your intuition. And the wands she is holding represent the connection between the spiritual and material worlds. And you can think of them as magic wands. And this is where inspiration resides. The circle of the actual laurel wreath symbolizes perfection, completion, and infinity. And now the angel over here, that's messages from the divine, either by another person, possibly your tarot reader, or your dreams. Angels guide us, and the message will always be for the highest good. Now over here you have the eagle, and that represents air, the mind, and intellect. And this is a symbol of power, truth, and authority. Now the lion here, this is a symbol of kings and emperors, a sign of strength and courage and pride. And over here, the bull represents the element earth and the zodiac sign Taurus. Also, it represents strength, virility, and power. It's also a symbol of luxury and wealth, and the reason you see a bull in reference to the stock market. So it brings us back to having graduated or completed something and now moving on to something new down another path. And so having the Two of Swords can mean that you're deciding something deep down in your inner core. It might be your spiritual side and thinking about your life journey, maybe wondering what's next. Then you're presented with an opportunity here in the material world, being of either a monetary gift or possibly improving your health, your body, and or your mind. And maybe spending time in nature to get some fresh new perspective on life and your journey. And the World card shows up saying that you're currently done with the current phase of your life, almost telling you that you need to start looking at things differently for your future ahead, to move on to bigger things. Let's look at our overall energy for this reading. We have the Major Arcana card, the High Priestess. So the overall energy being the High Priestess is telling us that your intuition plays a huge part today. This is totally trusting in yourself and your inner wisdom. Spend some time alone and meditate. Pay attention to your dreams as they will reveal all that you might be searching for. Look for signs and signals that your guides are trying to get messages to you. Now, the 3-card spread here adds up to number 24, which reduces to number 6, which is all about maintaining balance and harmony in your life. We all want that. So today, our crystal is cinnabar, which has to do with the sacral chakra and pertaining to business. And this is actually a polished cinnabar wand. It's really beautiful. I don't think the camera can really pick up you can almost see through this, but not on camera. Okay. Now, the guides have sent the crystal cinnabar to clarify what today's reading is all about for some of you. It won't pertain to all, and cinnabar does have to do with business, bringing about either a hobby or business that you love into reality as a home-based business, or simply being able to work for yourself. This can be what some of you have been deciding on, this Two of Swords energy. And then the energy of the Ace of Pentacles showing up might be that extra push of money or opportunity for you to make it happen. And the Major Arcana card, the World, is telling you that you're done with your current phase of life. And this is a life event happening here for some of you, especially with the High Priestess here. She's also a Major Arcana card, so she's emphasizing what's happening here. This is exciting, but can be scary as well. Way out of your comfort zones. But let me tell you, anything that's worth getting is way out of your comfort zone. So with cinnabar, it will promote positive new energy and abundance coming for you in regards to your career or your business. This card showing up today, along with the current tarot spread, indicates that for a lot of you, you can begin today in starting down the new path. Step through that archway. Step through there. Overcome any obstacles and begin the new journey of your life that you have been dreaming about. There's no better time than now. The cards have spoken. Thank you for joining me today for Feature Friday. I hope you enjoyed learning about the infamous Rider-Waite tarot deck. Be sure to subscribe and support my channel. Along with Feature Friday, I also have smoke card readings on Wednesday and also Take Action Mondays. My website is mysticdoortarot.com. If you would like a private reading, there is a link on the About tab on my channel. Love, light, and abundance to all of you. Until tomorrow.